All right, folks, it looks like we're now streaming live and this meeting is being recorded. Um, I guess we'll have to fill Alicia in when she's able to join. But this the Havre de Grace Youth Commission um, meeting minutes from July 23rd, 6:30 p.m. meeting. So just real quick, we'll go ahead and shoot off the attendance. So right now it's Tracy Robertson, Dina Cardwell, William Howard. And we just have a couple quick things to touch on as far as agenda items concerned. So as you guys are probably aware, I assume Ty is going to be leaving us now that she has graduated high school. And despite that, we're still 2 youths shy. She'll be the third. So we'll need to go ahead and fill those spots up. So my thought is, we really need to start making recruitment kind of a bigger effort than we have. And it's really tough because COVID's kind of pushed a lot of what we had planned and, a lot of our ideas for recruitment to the side. So I'd open that up for suggestions. If anyone knows any youth that might be interested, or if anyone has an idea to reach out.
I was wondering, because I was thinking, I do know a couple of youth that could be very good candidates, for those positions. I was wondering if there was something that we could maybe type up that just said what the youth commission was, and then what the duties include, like something we could just like maybe send out to parents or email to different youth so they have a synopsis of what it is and what they would be required to do. It's like a description pretty much that we could kind of just give out. So I think that will help kind of make it make sense for those that have not heard anything about it.
I agree. I could type up a couple things and send it out to the group and get y'all's input on it. And,
who has the information for the social media? Because that would be a good way to put it on the social media and get that out. And I think Will has more resources right now to get in contact with youth better than I would, because all of my stuff has been halted pretty much because I don't think we're going to have any fall sports, or I won't be in the school. I mean, I can put out something from the PTSA and send it out to the high school parents that I have in contact to, and put it on the PTSA's social media that we're looking, once you type something up, and maybe have an attachment for the application, and then I can post that one, and that'll go to any parents that are in the high school like right now that would see it. I don't know what else. I mean, not being able to get in the schools and not really the whole school thing limited is without having access to the guidance office either. That's another thing.
I could definitely post it on the youth commission's Facebook page. That's the one that I have access to. And then my connectivity is just still with Boys and Girls Club. So I am able to pass the word along through that thing. So.
Do you have the Twitter too?
I do not have the Twitter. I don't have the Twitter or the Instagram. I only have the Facebook.
I think we need to get the Twitter and the Instagram and then do it on those two, because I think the kids themselves are more on Instagram and Twitter and what is it, TikTok now? I can't keep track, and Snap or whatever. Yeah. But I definitely think
Alicia
has yeah, either Alicia or Sarah. We need to have them all centralized, actually. That's going to be one of my suggestions for tonight, is because we're also, and this is one of the other agenda items, is we also created a website page, because a lot of the things that we're going to be doing now is going to have to be online. And yeah, the social media is great, but a lot of parents aren't necessarily on Instagram, may not necessarily be comfortable. So they're more of the, I need the old fashioned kind of website, but we can stream our social media on there as well. But as far as having some resources, we thought it'd be a good idea now to set up a website as well so that we can connect all of the social media, get all the resource lists together, because a lot of what we're going to be doing now is going to be online probably for the next 6 months to a year. So just want to let you guys know.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely have to have that. We ran into that problem with the PTSA too, and we had to do a website last year, and because a lot of the parents aren't on social media or wanted a place that they could go to download all forms and everything that we offered.
Yeah, it'd be a great place for us to post all those materials, and then certainly Dina, you push it to the PTA, and Will, you push it to your folks at the Boys and Girls Club, and then on the social media. And I think that'd be good. So first things first, I'll work on just like a sketch, a draft of what I feel the duties and whatnot are, and then look at the youth commission and then y'all's input and buy-in, and we'll go from there. All right.
So in addition to youth members, we also need to look at recruiting additional adult support. So there are a couple of Havre de Grace family groups that are like on Facebook that have some people who actually post a lot of information and things for families. So I was thinking, one, that would be a good place to put for the youth members, but also additional place to maybe recruit some adults who could probably potentially help us with our social media, since they're already involved in those areas, as well as maybe getting in touch with other groups, family groups and organizations in the community. So I think we need to look at that as well.
How many members are we short?
So remember, we have 4 adult mentor members, and we're full for them. However, we're supposed to have committees that we were able to build up so that we all aren't doing necessarily the bulk of the work, that we can spread it out. So that's kind of where we're looking right now is we need to develop more of a network.
We need volunteers and associate members, basically, for adults.
Okay, kind of like, okay, yeah. So we need adults that would be, so they're not voting on anything. They would just be like volunteers per se for events and other things like that. I have 2 people in mind that I think would be really good for that. They have, one of them has children ages like 3 all the way up to freshmen. And I think she would be really good because she could commit when she could for events and things like that. I think that, so I do have some people that we could reach out to. So maybe when you do the, like whatever we want to send out on social media, and the, like if you make up a form, maybe we can do like another form for potential volunteers that, like what, and on it, that way, like maybe be a brief description of what we're looking for, but also it would be like, how much time do you want to commit? You just want to help with events, or you want to help with planning on committees. And then that way that might be able to help us establish like a core group of, okay, we know these people are going to help us work events, but they really don't want to be involved in the planning. And then we have these people that maybe want to help with the planning. That way, at least we would know ahead of time what they're willing to put in.
Yeah, we can certainly send out like that committee and subcommittee report that we did a while back. And, just say, hey, we're looking for volunteers. Would you like to help out with this, this, and that? We'll definitely need some bodies for Gravity. And if we ever get a chance to do Gravity and the pop-up parties and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully next year, our regular business will resume.
I guess
I was just saying that I like that idea, Dina.
I think the one good positive thing that is coming out of this, at least, that we rushed. So we did a good job our first go around, and we rushed. But I mean, we have a lot of time to do brainstorming and thinking and come up with different plans for the future that we can actually sit down and have, think about every little detail and maybe come up with some good things way ahead of it. And if they pan out, they pan out. If they don't, they don't. Because obviously we don't know how long we're in for with this. But at least we have a good amount of time to come up with some ideas and think longer on them.
That kind of moves us into the next agenda item, which are our goals for the year. And, I had a couple in mind, and that's, of course, what we just talked about with recruitment and with getting more folks involved. But also, I've discussed at length with the Economic Advisory Board in Havre, Grace, and they're willing to, like several business owners there are willing to take on interns or what do you call those? I can't think right now. Apprenticeships, interns, yeah. Just to kind of like hang out and see what these people do, on a day to day. And you've got some bankers there, you got some realtors, some industry folks, different industries. So that's one thing I like to do is get our like internship and fellowship opportunity going more for this next year. Of course, again, with COVID, it's going to be a little more difficult. Second thing is get them pop-up parties going. And the third is that I think we need to do a little more forethought for a youth-oriented job fair. And I know when we talked to Susquehanna workforce, they were, on the fence about changing what they do to what we were trying to do. And I think, given the history of success there, they may be more willing to work with us now. So go ahead, Will.
Okay. I definitely ditto everything that you said. Definitely in regards to about the apprenticeships and just the career building opportunities and like a more youth concentrated or structured job fair. I think those things definitely should be a couple of our passion projects, because that just really coincides with our advocacy for youth. We need to continuously invest in them and find ways to build them up to be as productive as possible in society. One of the things that I would really like to see, I know it's something that I've been kind of working on in my head. It's been an initiative, particularly with the Boys and Girls Club, but because I do serve on this commission, I want to see if it's something that we could do as well. But I would like to see some type of organized partnership with jobs and businesses that particularly accept 14-year-olds, because that is the minimum age that you can work, and that's the entry level age you can work, that you can apply for a work permit and begin to work. But 14 is so hard to break into the job force, but they really want to work, but they're not given little to any opportunities. I've been calling businesses all week because I have some teenagers that are 14 that want to work, but no one is willing to take them because, of course, when you are hiring a minor, there's a lot of regulations that you have to be accountable for. But I would really like to establish some partnerships for people who are willing to take the risk and see the value in starting at 14. I could say McGregor's has been a very valuable partner with us. They have hired, I think, like 3 of our 14-year-olds since the summer started. So Miss Stephanie, who's the general manager over there, she's been very supportive, and she definitely understands the concept. She's like, I'd rather take them in now and nurture them now, because I could, cultivate them for what I would like them to be. But it's been really hard. Like I talked to Burger King the other day, and they were saying, the lowest we're willing to go is 15. So I would just like to really work on establishing some type of band or community. Community of businesses that are willing to specifically hire 14-year-olds, not 15, 16. That way is a little bit more easier, but 14-year-olds, because that's the entry level when it comes to getting into the workforce, and they have the hardest time getting in. So it's legal right.
So, Will, I will tell you that as I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. The problem with the 14-year-olds, and especially where I work, because I cannot legally take anyone till they're 16 because of what it is and on some insurances, they consider 14-year-olds liabilities, and that 15, and it just depends on the state, because our legal age used to be 15, and then it was lowered to 14. And I think that for several people, and depending on what the business is, it's considered a liability. But I'd be more than happy to reach out to Kathy Vincenti, who would be good. She does the chamber, and she could put out a blast email. She's done them for me in the past, to all the businesses that are at least involved with the chamber, and say, this, we're anyone looking or interested or would be willing to hire 14-year-olds, and at least we would be able to have a mass way to get that out, whether because I know, and I know that how hard it is sometimes to go place to place to place, and now it's even harder because a lot of people aren't meeting, and then even to get a hold of somebody on emails or even the phone, right, sometimes it's hard. So I do totally agree with everything you said. I understand both sides of it, because I have those kids that want to work. But the other thing too, which kind of, not so much saying that it's the same thing, but there are some things out there that we could maybe gather for some of these kids about, how to start your own lawn care, or, dog walking service, things like that these kids can do, that they can do on their own, but maybe help them as far as, hey, this is how you market yourself. Because I think, I don't know about you, but I know you're around a lot of kids. I know several kids that have, because of that reason, have taken on their own
Very
to
true.
do those things. Several high school kids that have done, the dog sitting, or even the babysitting, or tutoring right now is a big one, and it's going to be a big one. So maybe that's also, while we're working on that, we can also work on some kind of, even on the website, where we could have a section that gives kids ideas, and hey, this is how you can market yourself if you are looking for a job, can't find one. These are some of the things that you can do to help market yourself in a professional manner, so people take you seriously. So that's something else we can, definitely look at. I'm huge on the job fair. I do the job fair at the high school, the last 2 ones that they did. And some of the places they had, obviously weren't going to hire those kids right then and there. It was more so, this is what you can do in the future, which the last one they did, Mr. Walker put it together very, very fast. So I definitely think, and it is possible now to do a job fair with COVID, if we can find the facility willing to do it, not in the masses. Like if you do it where it's not virtual, but you can do it you can do pretty much anything right now, as long as you keep it organized, scheduled,
Like the
and
farmers market, right? You do a farmers market. What's the difference between a
right.
and a job fair?
Right, but even like you can have like the booth set up, and there's certain. Trust me, I get confused about what's allowed and what's not allowed, because some things that are allowed make no sense, and some things that aren't allowed, it's like, well, why not? But I definitely think that even if this is a year-long thing, 4 or 5 months down the road, it is probably possible for us to do a job fair somehow, whether it be, in a parking lot somewhere with tents, it could still be done. But yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, that's okay. I'm losing my train. I'm trying to do 2 different things. they're playing wiffle ball and yelling at me. Mom, are you watching?
I think there's some real goodness in all of these ideas, and one of the best experiences I had this year was working with Will and the children, the young people for the career launch program, helping them do the mock interviews, helping them. And it was really upsetting that COVID happened because I mean, they were getting ready to just go, you know, within a couple of weeks to an actual job fair when we had prepped and worked with them. But I'm going to say a couple of things. I think that is a great thing that we should do. And I think maybe the Youth Commission should look at formalizing our participation in programs like that. Because for me, it was just volunteering. But I think if we take a more active role as the commission in that and maybe help some of these groups facilitate those types of programs because they already exist, but they may need more support, like people coming in to do the interviews, helping review resumes, things like that. Secondly, volunteer opportunities, because we could also, for those young people who are 12, 13, 14, potentially find ways that they could volunteer at like maybe some of the museums. The visitor center is always looking for volunteers. So that way they get that experience that they need on their resumes that will make them look stronger, even as a 14 and 15-year-old. So they say, oh, you volunteered for 2 years in the city's tourism office or
now
here.
I'm going to trust you to work here.
Right. Yeah. So that, I think we can help them. And then there's one more thought. You made me just lose it. Resumes, careers, internships at APG for high schoolers. There's a lot of programs that are happening that are for young people, and they are as low as 14. So I think that is something we have to try to look at too, is what's being offered that are paid learning opportunities, as well as just a job. I know what I was going to say. So about businesses, having young people create businesses. There's a lot of certification classes they could take. Babysitting certification course at APG is offered. Lifesaver, you know, being a lifeguard, they could take a lifeguarding course if they like to swim. I think that was a great idea. Like we have to maybe push ideas to them other than just going to Burger King or something like that. Push other opportunities they may not be thinking about. And it could be as simple as taking a 20-hour course and getting a little certificate, and then they could be having their own little business and doing their own thing. So
I agree with
formalizing this. Yeah.
Like that.
I agree. And if we get that website up and go, like have all that listed so they can go to one spot and everything. And even if it's a link to, even if it's not on APG, I know that the Red Cross has the babysitting and some other things. And even if it's just listing links for them to go to get these certifications would be great. It really is a shame there are a lot of things not running right now, but even if it's just for the future, you know, we have a good footprint to be able to know where we want to take it.
So it sounds like to me, we should really make this a priority and something that we do from the beginning to the end. So like we'll make it a program, right? Over the course of the next year, from September to March or whatever, we'll do resume writing workshops. We'll do mock interviews. We'll compile everything that you, Dina, and Will were just discussing, and Tracy, about all the courses that you can take. We'll find out when those are, when they're being held, if there's a fee, blah, 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 blah. And then the entrepreneurship opportunities and the internship opportunities. So we'll throw all that as well. And over the next several months, we'll make it a point to get these kids ready that by March, April of next year, if we can hold a job fair, that they'll be ready to successfully find employment that way. What do y'all think? Maybe just formalize the process.
Cool. And make it a priority, because I feel like this type of initiative is definitely most impactful for youth. And that's one way to build our recognition, to be an immediate resource for what their needs are. And they want to be successful, make money. I mean, just to be candid, there's some kids, I know every kid does not have the same situation, but there are some that I specifically worry about, that if they feel like their hard work isn't paying off quick enough, they'll turn to their make money. And I just really worry about that. So I definitely feel like as a commission, if we could make this a priority, I think it'd be really good, for our community.
Well, and we could even have young interns as well, for the youth commission. I know that the age is like 13 to 18 or whatever, but
That would be our committee people, yes.
yeah. All right.
Yeah, I agree. And the other thing that it kind of like coincides, well, not really coincides, but once we're able, and they are doing them, I have to look into how they're doing them, but I know that I could get a volunteer to come in, and anybody who would want to could get a CPR certification.
Mm-hmm.
And
fire department, right?
Yeah, I know a few people.
Yeah.
But we could get someone to come and do, and we wouldn't have to do just one. Really the main cost of those for when people do them is the cards, and they're like $5 a card. So it's very cost effective if we get someone to volunteer, and I'm pretty sure that won't be a problem, and we could do a couple of those, because that is good for anyone to have on their resume, or whether they're going to do anything, whether it's working in a restaurant or babysitting or whatever have you. That's a good thing to have, and it's good for 2 years. So I definitely think they could do first aid and CPR, but at least it's something we could do on our, like we could host and have on our own, so we wouldn't have to worry about outsourcing that or anything like that, and that would be good for any of the kids to have.
Absolutely. And just to remind folks, as an update, it's July. So far, fiscal year 21, which started July 1, the Youth Commission has a $5,000 budget, of which we have spent none. So we do have the capability to sponsor events like that, Dina. If we had to buy, cert cards or something like that, we could definitely do that. Hi, Alicia.
So, are we okay? So, just because it's 7:05 and I want to jump to something else, not something else, but just another goal for the year, because I think this is all really good stuff for the career entrepreneur development plan we'll put together. One of the things that the Youth Commission is supposed to be helping with is connecting the youth to government, and we haven't really focused on that. And I think now, with everything going on in the world, this is probably a good time to start some of that, whether it be maybe having some city youth town halls with maybe some of the mayor, the council members, some of the local police, maybe some leaders in the community, having some youth-driven talks, something along that, because we don't do anything.
I love the idea of a town hall. We should definitely host a youth town hall, right? I mean,
yeah.
Let's just ask the kids what the hell they need.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's also something.
I'm not really good with the politics, but I'll volunteer for anything.
I was thinking that we could do something like a candidate walk, to where we can maybe host an event to where we literally talk about introduce candidates to the youth, and tell them about what they stand for, what they believe in, what their beliefs are, because the kids don't know anything about who's running in any particular part of government, whether local or they don't know. So I think it'd be really nice if we had an event where we introduced candidates that were on the ballot and just candidly said who they were and what they were about, so they had an idea of who are the people that are, petitioning to run our government.
I like that thought, Will, especially candidate forum, of sorts. I mean, might be kind of tough to get some candidates to devote time to to a group that's not their constituency necessarily, but I think local folks, it would be easier than not. And I think definitely people that are already sitting in certain seats, like our state representatives, our city representatives, we could easily get those folks to come in and, just sit down, discuss, hey, this is what it's like to be a candidate. This is how you do it if you're interested. you know, in that. And then, yeah, you could definitely field some questions about positions. I think that that's a great idea to get kids involved in the political process. I think just now we probably have to do this stuff virtually, right?
Right.
Right. I mean, even just something like as simple as a shortcut, even if you weren't able to get people like candidates to come and speak in a forum setting, but if we were just able to develop information or like just like, I don't know, not I guess like maybe cards or just like something simple, you know, brief synopsis on who these people are, and what role they play, especially when you think about the attention span of a youth, you know, how much they can actually receive and take in. Sometimes they just want to see something, or they just want to, you know, the point of who someone is. So if we were able to kind of modify something for them that was quick and easy for them to understand and retain and get an idea for, even if it was like a slideshow presentation or you know, something that was kind of condensed. I think that might be a good idea, you know, for them to actually start participating and being a part, because they, in a simple way, know who these people are.
So I agree with you. I'm going to bring up kind of devil's advocate, and I think we got to think about being careful in the political realm, just because of representation of both sides and being equal, things of that nature. So what I was thinking is maybe we do kind of like a civic participation, kind of like, what does it mean to be able to vote? What does it mean that you have a local city government, you know, representing you?
Right.
What does that mean? You know, how do they influence, impact your day-to-day life? And
what do
then
the state reps do?
right, how does that build
Yeah.
up to the presidents? Because I don't think everyone really, young people really understand. They get that gloss over, you know, social studies, poli-sci class. But on my day-to-day,
I almost failed government, just FYI.
but you know, I actually had that when I was a senior, and my teacher took the time out with all of us to fill out our voter registration cards, even though we weren't of age, because you can fill out before you turn 18. And we filled them all out, and we did kind of like this 2 or 3 day series where we talked about what does it mean to really have voting rights, be able to vote, your participation, how you influence the process. So maybe we could do it from that perspective, have some speakers come in from both sides, and as well as the city representation.
Yeah, I would say that, you know, that way it's really easy to say this is a sitting, you know, state representative, blah, blah, blah,
Right.
blah, and have them come in and talk. And then, yeah, I think giving the whole civics lesson is very important. I would be careful about putting positions of any candidate
Right.
down and handing that out, because number one, I mean, it looks like you're endorsing them. And number two, if we don't get their wording correctly, you know, from them, and we start distributing it, there could be some liability there. So, you know, I see where you're going with that, Will, and I think that that's a great idea. I think there are groups that specifically deal with the politics of things, that we could probably encourage to come talk to young folks. But I think, like Tracy was saying, and this might be more advantageous for what you're saying, is to focus on the civics of things. This is what your leaders do. This is how government works. Because right now, especially, there's a lot of frustration, you know, with people. You're seeing them out in the streets all the time, and I don't know that a lot of what people are doing is the best course to affect change. So I think maybe explaining this is how, you know, government works, and this is your role as a citizen in your government, and how you could be involved in it, is definitely a good way to go.
And I think
How would we do that though? Are we going to do that virtually? I mean,
we can work that out, but I think one of the good things too is to point out there's a lot of young elected officials across the country right now, and maybe having some of those examples and stories of young people who decided to be, you know, like the young guy who's running for mayor in Baltimore. I mean, he's not that young, but I mean,
Brandon Scott.
Brandon Scott. He's been involved since he was younger, you know, like just giving them examples of young people getting involved and taking those initiatives, making, and even causes. They don't necessarily need to be elected officials, but they could make causes and impacted change. So, you know,
I have a, I don't know if this, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not very good with political stuff, but I'm thinking, it's something that we could do, like start soon. And if we start like at the Havre, and just put my head. So when all of COVID started, the Susquehanna Host Company did that virtual tour they did it on Facebook, and I actually live streamed it. Well, live streamed it when it happened at the daycare on a big giant screen for the kids to all watch, and they did some different things on there, but it was like a live stream. That I think would be really cool if we could do, like, even if we did it live on ours, maybe even Jason be the host of it just because he's on the city council, and do like a local, this tour of City Hall, and this is the mayor's office, and this is the chamber, and then like play, like do it in a even as low, like something that parents can watch with their kids, as you know, 5-year-olds could get a grasp of it. But even if we do it for middle school and up, talk in terms where they would understand and say, you know, this is, a lot of them have been in the big room but may not understand everything that goes on in that big room because they go to get their awards from school, and then the parents usually take them out of there. So maybe like show them, you know, Bill's office, and this is where the mayor does his job, and this is, you know, where Steve, and explain what Steve's job is, and explain DPW, you know, like the workings of the city. But that is something that we could start and do like a virtual tour, and then the next tour could be like an elaboration of like what the job of the city council is. Like that could be another, like mini episodes, and start at our level, and then like yeah, like one level, and then even if we got involved where it's like every member of the city council could get involved in an episode, and like, you know, like this is, so that way we're not covering any political side, we're doing the bit. And then maybe after we finish the Havre de Grace episodes, maybe it's one of those things where, you know, Adam, just because he can do anything, maybe we could get like a tour of Hartford County government office, you know, where it's one of our, you know, like send Adam, I'm just saying, I'm throwing Adam on the bus, send Adam up there, you know, to, and maybe we could get them to, at the Hartford County level, or even if we talk to, you know, Mr. Pat, he might be willing to have somebody follow him around and he do a thing where he does what the, you know, county executive does, what the county president. But if we start with ourselves and do like a little mini series, and the first thing be a tour of City Hall, and then elaborate from there with what each extension of our city government. And that way we're not putting up political, you know, even though we have our elected officials maybe in it and speaking, we're not saying for one or the other. We're going through the actual job, what the job is. And that way we can do it virtually and on our Facebook page, and people can share it or whatever, but we gear it to where children understand it.
Very government better miniseries. I love it.
Sometimes I have good ideas, especially when I'm on the beach.
You got nothing else to worry about, nothing else in your brain, just
no, just myself and my little cup.
I think that's a good idea, because I know, like, now with the whole pandemic, a lot of centers, and I know even the Boys and Girls Club, they have to do virtual tours or virtual field trips because they can't go to specific places. So I think that's a really good idea for there to be an option like that within our city.
We got a lot.
all right. So that's an action item.
Got it.
Next thing on the agenda is committee assignments and roles, but I really think that we need to focus more on recruitment before we focus on the committee assignment and roles for the new year, because we're going to have to take on some new members before we do that. And that's just assuming that Ty is going to leave, you know, but regardless, we still need a few more young folks. All right. The last thing is talking about the website. And I think that we had kind of discussed that at the beginning, but for your edification, Miss Alicia, we're going to do a website for the Youth Commission, and that's going to house things like the applications for the Youth Commission, kind of like a summary of what the Youth Commission is, what it means to be a member. And then also we'll have a little organizational chart that'll explain to the older folks that might want to join, the adults that might want to join like subcommittees and stuff like that, what all that entails, what that duty assignment is. And then what we've been talking about, and you may or may not have heard it all, but in one of our goals for the year, we want to focus on an entire career building program from start to finish. Our plan now is to help young folks know how to interview properly, help them write good resumes, get them into internship opportunities, and then all culminating with a youth-oriented job fair that we'll host between March and April of next year. Now we can talk about, if that's going to coincide with Gravity, if that's going to, partner with another organization. That's all good things that we should talk about in like a planning committee setting or something. And I think that's about all that we covered there. So my wife is tapping me constantly. She wants to talk.
I'm sorry, guys. I have one item that was not on the agenda. And so I'm just going to bring it up. It's a new opportunity we have to partner. The Arts Collective, much like many organizations that provides programming for the arts, are starting online series, and they are starting a youth series as part of their Arts Collective programming, and they would they're looking for young people to be involved. So if we know any people who are into the arts, they would love to have some young people get involved on the youth programming planning committee. But also I was looking at this as an opportunity, because as Jason said, we do have some funds that we are not using right now, and they, having the doors closed to the Opera House since March, the organization has not really raised any money for themselves other than grants that they're given. And unfortunately, a lot of that funding from the grants goes towards salaries for the one staff member that they have, for maintenance of the building, other things in addition to programming. So basically they have limited funds right now. So they're working on a very limited budget. They don't know what the year is going to look like, whether or not they're ever going to open the doors again. They are having an anniversary event that's going to be used as a fundraiser on August 8th for the organization. However, they would like to start the youth program, and they already have someone on the planning committee who's a former art teacher. She was like art teacher for like 30 years. She's already been involved with the Arts Collective before, and she is organizing this youth event and has a calendar of events and ideas that she'd like to put forth. So what I'm asking is if the Youth Commission would like to make a contribution, a sponsorship of the youth program that they're doing for the Arts Collective. So one, we can say that we are doing something in the community at this time, but it also will allow them and give them the funding they need to do this program. And I think it'd be a good opportunity for us to collaborate, which is one of the things that we try to do as well, is to collaborate. So
as long as we stop and then listen.
Are we allowed to do that? Because I know we had talked about something like that with the Arts Commission, and we were told we weren't allowed to because it was city funds, and that we're not allowed to donate or sponsor.
So we can actually, how we could do is we could actually pay for the materials. We could pay for the actual, if it's a speaker coming in, that's how we could actually say we're going to provide this for them, if that makes sense. So it's,
that makes sense. That's what I guess I want just more clarification, just because I know we had gone that route before on a different city commission. So that's why I wanted to make sure that was
What does the program do that the collective is doing? I think that's that part.
I'm sorry, we said?
What does the program do? What is the youth program like? What are they?
So So here's some of the different ideas that they have. So they want to do online crafts. They want to do online sessions where they would provide supplies, and the families can come pick up the supplies, and then they would do the craft sessions at home, build things. They'd like to have films that are just geared towards young people, but licensing fees, it's like 150 to 200 depending on the film. They would like to have performers come in that are more youth oriented versus some of the other entertainment they have that comes in, because we can still do on stage filming and live stream performances and things like that. So that's kind of what they're looking for, support in that way.
So do they have any specific programs set up
So
yet?
right now they're going to be doing a craft activity. Part of it is funding, is because they don't have the money. So they're looking to do anything low key. They have discussed having a Hartford Has Talent, so like a talent show for families and young people. So that's coming up, I believe, in September. They're still working on the details on that.
Do they need a sponsor for that?
Well, I can ask them what they would
So
need for
ask
that.
them what they need as far as the sponsorships for that. And I'd love it if the youth commission could be involved in the talent show.
But that's more of, just so you know, that's not necessarily targeting just the youth. That's going to be families and everyone involved.
Families.
So, yeah. But we have an opportunity. So the question to the group, and I will raise the question, would you all be interested in working with the Arts Collective to sponsor youth programming that they're doing at the Arts Collective?
I'm good with it.
Okay, well, hold on. Let me put forth the motion.
Oh, I thought you did. Sorry.
So what exactly will we be sponsoring? Just our volunteerism or money or what?
So that's a combination. Right now, I would like to ask for a money contribution. And like Kadina's point, we can say we're going to give you guys up to this amount, but we need to know specifically what things we're sponsoring, and we'll get clarity and details to make sure we can do that transaction, because that's a really good point. But we'd like to, I was thinking.
I think if they say they want us to cover, like saying, they need help with the movie, and let's say if we say we're covering two movies for the month of August or something like that, I think that's, I don't think, I just remember this from another meeting. I just don't think we can say, oh, here's $1,000 or here's $500. I think that we have to, from the get-go, say we will sponsor two movie shows, or we will sponsor 50 art kits. I think we have to be specific in it. I don't think we're allowed to say we're going to give you X amount of money. I think I think we have to say we need to know exactly how much it is for the art kits, and we'll do whatever, how many of that. I think I'm just remembering from the meeting I had that it has to be specific. It can't be a money amount discussed. It has to be a
specific sponsorship of something.
Yeah.
What I recommend is I'll reach out to Laura, who's running it, and recommend setting up a time to talk with them to see. I'm on the board for the Arts Collective, so I have to put that out there. Full disclosure here. So I will talk to her though and set something up. If someone other than myself would like to be involved from the Youth Commission, I think that would be good. So we have kind of a neutral party.
Everything else I have done is taken away from me. I won't have football, so I'll be more than happy to do something else. I have nothing to do. But I was getting ready to say something. I don't remember what it was. Oh, but I think it's a good idea. I think it's good because it is pertaining to the youth in town. So I definitely think it's something that we can get involved in, as long as we know exactly what we're doing. But I don't personally have an issue with it, as long as it's going to the youth in our community. I think it's great.
So I put forth the motion that the Youth Commission will support the Arts Collective, and we'll define what that means once we get.
I think we should wait to put forward a motion until we specifically know
what they want,
what it is we're sponsoring, and we know the dollar amount.
That makes sense. So we'll do that. So I'll reach out to them. I'll set up that meeting. Will, would you want to be involved with that from the Boys and Girls Club activities, or Alicia or anyone?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I know you guys do some programming. Actually, there was an art event that you guys did that caught the attention of Rebecca, the Arts Collective executive director. She saw the Boys and Girls Club did like a paint splash thing.
Yeah, we did recently do that. That was June 17th or 19th. We did that.
Okay.
All right, so you got
Right,
Will
that's
and
all I
Dina.
had.
All right, I guess we can go around the board.
Yeah.
We'll start with Alicia just because she didn't get to speak yet. So Alicia, you have anything to add? Any questions, comments, concerns, alibis?
No, I just feel like it's hard to do with everything going on to kind of get involved. It's a hard thing to do. But I think that what Dina was talking about with the tours, that's something to get started, and just any way we can volunteer or collaborate with somebody else that can do something virtual. That's the route we have to take right now.
Roger that. Will?
I have nothing really further to say, except that I think that we covered a lot of ground today, and I'm excited about our efforts moving forward. And yeah, I think it was a good meeting.
All right, Dina?
Yeah, all I really have to say is just two things really. Like, yeah, it's been really, like, I've been working with kids throughout this entire thing, and I think that as the youth commission, I like what Alicia said. If we can maybe partner up with some of the maybe businesses and like DPW and the police station, and I know the hose company already did it, but we could ask them again for a new one. The post office, like maybe some places in town that would be willing to let us come in and do virtual tours, and then we post and still do our government one with that, but maybe start posting some virtual tours of different local businesses and different things in our community and posting them on our Facebook page, so that parents that are at home, or like Will at the Boys and Girls Club, myself at the daycare, that we have an outlet and a place that parents could sit for 30 minutes and with their kids, and it's not on the kids aren't on the video games or doing something else, because a lot of these parents are struggling with finding things for their, I mean, you guys have a little one, so you absolutely know, like trying to find things that are not rotting their brain and new and different to them. So maybe that's another route we can go as well for the future. And I'd be more than happy to start calling places and saying, hey, what would you think? Even like Pat's, a tour of Pat's, like, taking a camera and going and, something like that. So that's the only other thing I have to say. I agree with Will. I think it's been really productive. But that, looking into the virtual things that we can do and provide to the citizens of Havre de Grace that have children and are right now grasping at straws about what to do with them.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. We did start, the idea with that virtual tour thing about a year ago, I guess, and we did, one business. But the point of that was a little bit different than I think what's being talked about now. So I definitely like the idea of getting the businesses involved and getting some visibility there. I know several cities are doing similar things right now, like on Xfinity. I think they have a Explore This City thing, and it'd be kind of neat if we did something similar, I think. So, all right.
Yeah, I mean, we can actually even, that's another thing, like Kathy could put out through the chamber too and see if anybody's interested. Like, just get all of our resources, like between, all of us that are just right here, right now, like pulling our resources together, different trades, different things. I mean, that's another thing that leads into the whole job thing. Talk to Amanda McFadden and say, hey, can we have a tour? And then you could tell the kids, like, what do florists do other than what kids see delivering flowers, things like that. Like what
Flowers get here.
So guys,
right.
I would tell you the businesses when we started this last year were very excited on board, and honestly we dropped the ball because we didn't have the young people to do it. So we've got to get the young people to get engaged, and the businesses are waiting. They love the idea. They're thrilled about it.
That was
Julie,
like a youth night.
I think the only thing I can say right now, though, and this is just a COVID thing. I think that some of the things right now that we're going to have to do, because some parents are going, yeah, like there's going to be certain things that we're going to have to like jump, and then as we can get the kids involved, get them involved. But there's like, and for now, until we know, I think that there's going to be some hesitation there from parents letting their kids get involved and stuff like that. But
is that the businesses, they want it.
oh yeah. Well, yeah, I get that.
They can do to get business in and be creative with. They're
right.
So
yeah. So I definitely think, yeah, and I can reach out to Kathy and see like if she could maybe put something out there of anybody that would be willing to let us do a tour, virtual tour, and explain what they do and what their business is, and see what the feedback would be on that, because she just has all the resources. Like she clicks one button and it goes to all the businesses that are involved with the chamber.
That's great. Yeah, if you could do that, that'd be awesome. And that's something easy that we can just get rolling with. All right.
Okay, I'm good. I don't have anything.
All right. I just need someone to, do I have a motion to close?
Oh, when are we gonna try to meet again? How do we want to do this with COVID? Do we want to go back to meeting monthly like we were meeting?
Yeah, I think we had once upon a time figured on what the fourth Thursday of each month. It's still in my calendar. Is that?
I'm still good with that.
Okay, now we can do the motion.
All right. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Looks like a water can.
After the beach.
Thanks. I'm gonna go figure out what's for dinner now.
All right. Enjoy, guys. Thank you all.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Jeff, all right.